Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Joanne Weiland, Weiland when you can fly, and I'm here today with Sherri Coffelt. And I'm so thrilled to have her here because she's going to share so many of her insights with us today. So I would like to introduce Sherri. She supports service-based entrepreneurs to get out of the feast or famine cycle of getting clients and finally build a business that gives them the freedom and flexibility to live, their bucket list now. She sold her bit home and all her possessions just so she could travel the world, taking her business with her, and she never looked back. Leveraging her freedom finder formula, her clients build a consistent flow and potential clients they can turn into high paying clients. Let me just rephrase that. I know Sherri, and she literally will show you how to take your mundane business that you're kind of bored with, and because of the fact you've just lost the enthusiasm of it, but she will invigorate you, and she will help you to see how you can take it to a different level, higher, to where you actually dreamed of when you first started the business. Because let's face it, why did you leave your job? Because you had this business in mind, in your dreams, and you saw it so clearly, and she helps you get back to that dream, and she literally makes it fun. So welcome, Sherri.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's like, why wait for someday? Let's all live our bucket list now, right? So there's
Right.
always going to be a someday. So that's my mantra, is just no some days. Live the life you want to live today.
Exactly. Exactly.
And take your
I
business
agree.
with you, by the way.
Right, because life is so short, and I'm so proud of you that you are living your bucket list. How many different countries have you been to? I mean, it's amazing.
I think I'm up to 15 or 16 countries now. But I do a little differently because I usually stay at least a month per city. So I probably should start looking at number of cities I've been in, because there's
Yes.
there's quite a few places, like, us in Australia. I've been in, I think, 4 different cities for at least a month.
Right.
So it's I just love travel. It's part of what I do. It's my bucket list, and I'm in Paris right now, and I mean, who can't beat Paris in the springtime? And I always say, just tell me where we're going and I'll be there.
And she, by the way, the reason she's in Paris is also because she was part of the Women's Summit for the International Women's Day last
Yes, I
week.
was.
So I'm so proud of her because she got to speak there. So you can also do what she's doing, or something that makes you happy, but
Right.
she actually gets to work in these cities and then stay and explore them, as well as like this, be on interviews and work from her apartment or wherever she's
Exactly. Yeah,
staying.
I was spoken on stage at the conference last week, and I've done live workshops in Australia, and I've done meetup groups, small networking groups all over the world that I've spoken at. And I never would have been able to do that if I wouldn't have put my stake in the ground and made the decision to live the life I wanted to live.
Yes, you have to really commit to it, and like you did, sold your home and your possessions just so you could do it, because it was holding you back. And so, because a lot of times I think that's what happens, people are scared to leave their
Yes,
comfort zone.
they are. And
So
and
tell.
for me, what happened was I had what I call that knock upside the head moment, because I teach starting with vision. I have always taught my clients, and for myself, start with what you want in your life, and then build a business that fits into that life versus your business taking over your life. Yet here I was, 17-ish years into my business, and I had that I call it my knock upside the head moment, because I realized that I wasn't living my bucket list. What I really wanted to be doing was traveling full time. And yet I built a business that required me to do live speaking, which I love doing, and live networking, but mostly I was doing it within my geographical area, kind of driving distance. And if I would have gone to Australia for 3 or 4 months, I didn't have the network to have the speaking engagements in Australia at the time, my leads would have dried up. So I literally had to put my stake in the ground. And within 6 months, as you mentioned, I had completely changed my marketing system for my business, gone from about 80% of my leads being offline from live speaking events to online being virtual speaking events, virtual networking, workshops, all this kind of things that I did from my computer. And in 6 months, I'd sold my home, changed my marketing strategy, and I was off to my first trip, which was 4 months in Australia. So, and I've never looked back, I have to admit.
That is so wonderful. And like you started to talk about it. So I was just curious, like tell our listeners, how would you start doing that?
Well, it's a little bit of what I just talked about around vision. You have to get clear on your vision for your life first.
Right.
And that's all areas of your life. It's what do you want your health to look like, your relationships to look like? What do you want your environment, your physical environment, where are you living? How are you spending your days? Who are you spending them with? All of those questions you really need to have a clear picture of. And then what kind of wealth is it going to take to live that lifestyle? And then
Yes.
finally, how does your business fit into all of that? Because when you start with all areas of your life, and then you build your business in a way that fits into that lifestyle, you don't get yourself in that situation I did, where the marketing strategies that I had chosen for my business were stopping me from living the lifestyle I wanted to live. So it all starts with vision. And one of the things that I do that's a good tip for our audience is I write a vision letter. And I've been doing this for years. I do it with all of my clients. You write a letter to a friend that you haven't seen for a year. And you, in the letter, explain in detail what's happened in the last year of your life when everything that you dream of today has happened 1 year from today. So you write the letter as if it's already happened. So whatever today's day is, it is now that day 1 year from now. And write that letter from that standpoint. And that letter becomes your touchstone. It becomes what you refer back to. It's your why. A lot of people talk about your why, but it's
Right.
so important to get clarity around that before you really dive into your business. Or you could find yourself in the place I did, earlier in your business, or maybe 17 years into your business like I did. So that's where I would
No,
start.
no, because you started around 2000 when you actually started
I
three
did,
different
yes.
businesses. So
Yeah.
congratulations. And it's true. That's a great, the vision letter. I've done things like that myself. And it's real so interesting. One time I did that and gave it to somebody, and then they mailed it to me a year later.
Yes. That's
And,
great.
so I mean, different things. So you can do it by yourself or with a partner,
Mhm.
but even with yourself, I just really think that would be very powerful. Like you said, then you can use it as a reference to see
Mhm.
if you're on track. Because,
Exactly.
is that what do you think that's probably one of the biggest things that stops people from, living their dream, they're living their bucket list,
Well, definitely,
is
I think
that
it
they don't
starts
have
with
a
not
plan.
having clarity. Clarity is huge. The other two things that I see that really stop entrepreneurs from having the success that they want to have are
Right.
the two enemies: inconsistency and overwhelm. And in my belief, inconsistency causes
Right.
the overwhelm. Because you and I know this, we've talked about it. There are so many things to do as an entrepreneur. And not
Yes.
only are there so many things to do, but there are so many messages out there coming at us every day. I call them the millionaire gurus. Those gurus out there that are telling you, you have to do this or you have to do that. And all of a
Right.
sudden, all those have tos start piling on top of each other. And pretty soon we're clear up to here and we're drowning and we're not doing anything well because we keep responding or reacting, I should say, to those messages out there. And we're not giving any time to work. We're not doing anything consistently. We're doing way too many things at one time. So we're creating the inconsistency, which then creates the overwhelm. So, and I also believe that it contributes to the feast or famine cycle that we get into as particularly earlier entrepreneurs. You know what I mean when I say feast or famine cycle?
Yes, because I was going to ask you about that next.
Yeah,
And because I feel like when what you just described it keeps people stuck in the
it
feast or
does.
famine, meaning they might get this one sale, but then they don't get any for months. And a lot of it's because of what you just
It
described.
is.
They're
It
on
is. Yeah.
overwhelm of having to do this, this, and this. And so they don't really ever get to their, again, back to their dream of
Right.
high ticket sales is what you call it, meaning, the real type of sales that they want to be involved in because it's going to benefit them as well as their
Yes.
client, as well as sometimes other people as
Exactly.
well.
And what
So,
happens
yes.
is, yeah, what happens is that we go out and we get on that hamster wheel and we get a few clients and we listen to whatever guru of the week that is, landing in our email box. And we go out and we implement something and we get a few clients. And then we basically drop everything and we start serving those clients. And then all of a sudden we put our head up and we realize I stopped all my marketing. Now I don't have any money coming in. And like you said, sometimes that can be 4 months. We don't have any money coming in because we have to restart the whole process. And here's where that inconsistency, frankly, bites us in the butt, right? Because now we've stopped doing those other marketing strategies. And all of a sudden, there's all these new messages that are coming in. So we recreate the wheel and learn a whole new marketing strategy in a lot of cases, which makes that inconsistency rear its head. And we instantly go into overwhelm. So they're all intertwined. And when we can get behind that and build a consistent flow of leads that we can turn into paying clients, so we're not constantly worried about finding a next client, life just becomes so much easier.
Yes. And I feel like most of us anyway, if not all of us, want to become entrepreneurs. So we do have more freedom. So we do have more time to do the things we love, be with the people we want to be with, travel, all these different things. And it makes me sad when I see so many of them being so overwhelmed. And a lot of it is inconsistency, and they don't have systems and processes
Right.
which some people laugh that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a free spirit, but you really have to have some types of structure to
Yes.
it to make it flow. And it got so I totally agree with you, Sherri. I mean, it's amazing to me how we make it so hard when it can really be so easy and
Yeah,
even
I hear you.
simple
And I
and
always say
fun.
yeah, and you talked about the creative entrepreneurs. I always say the freedom is in the structure, because when you have a structure around your business, um, it creates time because things just run so much more smoothly. It creates time for you to do what you want to do and be creative.
Right. And that's why you need to, could you talk a little bit about even like marketing strategies that would
Yeah,
help people do that?
well, absolutely. And let me tell you, there's four keys that I see that will
Okay.
keep
I'm
you
taking
out of
notes, by the way.
yeah, that will keep you out of the feast or famine cycle, and
Okay.
also, frankly, provide that consistency and keep you out of overwhelm. So the first one we
Right.
just talked about, and that's starting with your vision. When you get clarity on your vision, you have that that dream that you're going for, and that becomes your anchor. And so that's where I always start with every client I work with, is starting with their vision. Once you have that vision in place, the second thing that I would say to you is keep it simple. And the way to keep it simple is to use what I call the rule of three. Actually, I don't call it the rule of three. It's a scientific term based on research that goes all the way back to Aristotle, that the way that our brains work, we are more naturally designed to handle
Mhm.
things best in groups of three. So when you think
Right.
about your business goals, set 3 business goals. When you think about
Okay.
your signature offer, 3 levels of your signature offer, not 13, right? When you
Right.
think of the number of marketing strategies that you use, 3. No more than 3 major marketing strategies. You may do things here and there, but generally speaking, there should be 3 major marketing strategies, no more, that you use to drive leads to your business. And when
Yes.
you put that in place, that in and of itself will significantly reduce the inconsistency, because now you have a filter to say yes or no to things. So if
Right.
the latest new guru is talking about some new, I don't know, AI is huge right now. Everybody's talking about AI. Okay, well, is AI critical to one of your 3 chosen marketing strategies? If it is, great, you might want to learn more about it. If it's not, then you have permission, because you've got that focus, to put it on the back burner, or whatever that
Right.
strategy might be. So that's number 2, is to keep it simple and use the rule of 3. And then really the third one we've talked about a lot, and that is just be consistent with those 3 things. So
Right.
whatever it is, implement those strategies day in and day out, and don't get distracted. Use that filter through rule of 3 to make the decisions on what you spend time on, and implement them consistency, even when you have clients. When you have clients, you should be spending at least a third of your time in your business needs to be working on your business, not in your business. So
Right.
working on creating new leads, on expanding your community, on increasing your authority and your visibility, not delivering on what you've sold to a client. At least a third of your time needs to be spent on that. And I'm talking at any point in your business, whether it's day one will actually be higher, or if you're like me and you're just about ready to celebrate 23 years in business. So that's number 3, is consistency. And then the last one, I think, might surprise you. But what I believe the last key is to build a bulletproof follow-up system. And the reason that I say that is because there is so much business that leaks out of the bottom of the bucket for entrepreneurs, because
Right.
they miss opportunities simply because they don't follow up. They go to a live or virtual networking event and meet great people, but they never ask them to get on a connection call. They never send them an email to try to further the relationship, to find the collaboration opportunities, as I say to my collaboration expert here. And that is just gold that you are letting drip out of the bottom of your bucket. So by bulletproofing your follow-up system and having easy things in place to automate it as much as you can, keep it simple. Like when you go to a networking event, you don't have to connect with 20 people. How many are you going to pick? 3. There's a magic number again. If you only went to each networking event and set the intention, I'm going to identify 3 people that I'm going to collaborate with and build a relationship with after this event, and you do it, you follow through, you'll increase your business.
I agree. People call me the networking queen anyway, but what you just hit on, I used to look at the list ahead of time who was going to be at that meeting, and I would pick the 3 that I wanted to meet with and what I was going to discuss with them. And I love, love, love that you said about the follow-up. I would, to this day, I get so shocked how many people I meet that never ever reach back out
Right.
to me. But I have a whole follow-up system. But the reason I think I created that was because of the fact that I could not believe how many networking workshops I would go to, Sherri, that literally would tell you how to network, but none of them included how to follow
How to
up.
follow up.
And I
Yep.
just, like
Yeah.
you just hit it right on, that literally, if you don't follow up, big deal. Why did you
Yeah.
even go meet those people? If you think they're really going to remember you, that's great, but I
And I tell
doubt
my
it.
clients, if you don't have intentions and a system in place to follow up after networking events, don't go. Save your time. Go
Right.
and read a book for that hour,
And
because
I
you're
hate to
wasting
say
your
it, but you
time.
really should follow up multiple times. I mean,
Mhm.
seriously, I heard the
Yeah.
average sale comes from the 7th to the 12th time you follow up with them. I
Yeah.
know it sounds depressing, but again, if you have a system, it really is easy. And so I just recommend what Sherry's saying.
Yeah.
It's so key. And speaking of the keys and all your insights that you're sharing and everything, I heard that you're going to give us a gift today. What is it?
I am. Well, my clients are mostly service-based entrepreneurs, and most of them they're selling high ticket programs, as you mentioned, and they're using some kind of a free consult for the most part to do that. So they know that calls turn into cash, but the question they always ask me is, how do I get people on my calendar? So I created a free gift called 17 Easy Ways to Fill Your Calendar with Potential Clients. That's a mouthful. And in it, you'll discover 17 of the top strategies, I'm going to say, certainly not every strategy, that I've discovered work well to turn prospects into leads that you can then turn into a connection call that you can then turn into a client. And here's the one thing I want you to hear about this. I don't want you to implement all 17 of them. Big surprise. How many do I want you to implement? I want you to start with 3. So what I recommend you do is when you get the report, read it. It's not a long read, and choose first 3 that you're going to implement, or maybe you've already implemented one of them and you want to stick with that, and make them choose a couple easy ones first. There are ones on there that take you less than 5 minutes to implement. In fact, I'll share one with you. Add a link to your calendar, to your scheduling calendar in your email signature. Everybody should have a link to schedule a call with you in your email signature if you use live calls to generate business. So that's an easy one. You can go do that one in 15 minutes after you listen to this today. So go implement those first 3 strategies, get them up and running, maybe completely done and not even have to touch again. Then you can add another one that might take a little bit longer or more time or money to invest to get it up and running. So I'll the link will be in the notes. Is that where they'll get the link, Joanne?
Yes, we'll put that in the notes. And I have to tell you, one of the ones that Sherri taught me recently, maybe that, sometimes you're afraid to ask for the order. And let's face it, I mean, sometimes that, we're not the best closers. So she told me that all you have to do is ask, what would you like our next step to be?
Yeah.
And it
Sometimes
just
that's
makes
a
it
powerful question.
so much easier. And I'm not sure if that's one of your 17, but that was priceless to me. So thank you, Sherri, for always sharing your insights with us. Thank you for being with us here today. I'm Joanne again with Link to Expert. And when you're ready to elevate your digital identity as the expert instantaneously, you can give us a call. Thank you. And thank you, Sherri, for sharing all your insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.